Welcome to the video solution of your selected question from the Mathematics the Easy Way DVD. If you have not yet seen the introduction video on the DVD, please do so now, as it outlines how the Easy Way series will help students to be successful in their CXC exam. While the Easy Way video solutions will help to cement the understanding of certain special questions, the solution books are still absolutely necessary as they cover all the various types of questions that are set in CXC exams.
We're now at question 7 of the CXC CSEC June 2013 General Paper 2 Exam Video Solution. Now this question gives us a frequency distribution of the amount spent by 40 students at a school canteen during a 1-week period. And based on the table, we see that 3 students spent between $1 and $10, 7 students spent between $11 and $20, 9 students spent between $21 and $30, 11 students spent between $31 and $40, 8 students spent between $41 and $50, and 2 students spent between $51 and $60. And here we have the cumulative frequency column started. Cumulative frequency shows how many students spent less than a particular amount. And so, for example, the number of students that scored less than $30.5 or less than or equal to $30 is 19. All the students down here, the 3 plus 7 plus 9. And part 1 wants us to complete the table, so we're to complete these cumulative frequency cells. So to do that, we simply need to continue adding up the frequencies. And so here, the number of students who spend less than or equal to $40 would be the 19 here plus the 11 from this group, and that's 30. So 30 students spend less than or equal to $40. And then we add 8 more to find the number of students who spend less than or equal to $50, and so that's 38. And then we add the remaining 2 students from this group to see the total number of students who spent less than or equal to $60. And that's the completed cumulative frequency table. And our total frequency is 40. There are 40 students in the survey. Now part B wants us to draw the cumulative frequency curve. Now the cumulative frequency curve shows how many students spent less than or equal to a certain amount. Now based on the information that is required in part C, where we're asked to find the number of students who spend less than $23, in this case it is better to draw a less than cumulative frequency curve. In other words, we want a curve that will show how many students spent less than a certain amount. And therefore we have to use the upper boundary value of the groups for the x values on our graph. And so the points for the graph will be, we are using less than amount spent against cumulative frequency. Those are the points that we're plotting on the graph. Less than amount spent against the cumulative frequency. And so the points that we're plotting are 10.5, which is the upper boundary value, against this cumulative frequency, because 3 students would have spent less than $10.5. And then we'll also be plotting 20.5, which would be the upper boundary for this group, against 10, because 10 students would have spent less than $20.5. And continuing, 19 students would have spent less than 30.5, hence this point. And then 30 students would have spent less than 40.5, hence this point. And then 38 students would have spent less than 50.5, hence this point. And then 40 students would have spent less than $60.5. And so these are the points we'll plot. And for cumulative frequency of 0, to account for the amount spent by 0 students, we would subtract 10 from this value, because you see we are increasing our x values by 10. And so to continue that trend, we would have to subtract 10 to come to this point. And so less than $0.5 is the amount spent by 0 students. So 0 students spent less than $0.5. And so these are the points we'll plot on our cumulative frequency graph. Let's show that on the next page. And so this is it. We are told to use a scale of 1 centimeter to $5 on the horizontal axis, and so it is 2 centimeters to $10. And on the y-axis, 1 centimeter to represent 5 students, and so this is a scale for a graph. On the horizontal axis, we are plotting less than amount spent, and on the vertical axis, we are plotting cumulative frequency. And as I said before, these are the points we'll plot. So let's show those points. And this is it. This first point is for this point here, 0.50, that's this point. And then it's 10.53, 10.5 cumulative frequency of 3. Then it's 20.5, 10, 20.5, 10, that's this point here. 30.5, 19, 30.5, 19, a cumulative frequency of 19. And then 40.5, 30, 40.5, 30, cumulative frequency of 30, that's this point here. 50.5, 38, 50.5, 38, that's this point right here. 50.5, 38, and then 60.5, 40, that's it, 60.5, 40. So these are the points for a cumulative frequency curve, and all we need to do now is draw the smooth curve through those points, and that's our smooth curve, having a characteristic shape of a cumulative frequency curve, which is also called the ogive. And that's the answer for part B. Now part C wants us firstly to calculate the median amount spent. The median amount spent, and that is represented by Q2 because the median amount corresponds to the second quartile Q2. Now the median amount spent is the amount spent by the student in the middle of the distribution if you were to arrange the students from smallest to highest in terms of the amount spent. And so the student in the middle of the distribution will be approximately the 20th student, since there are 40 students in the survey. And so the position of the median amount spent will be the position of the 20th students, half of the total distribution. And this is it. The position of the median amount spent is half of n, half of the total frequency, which is 40, and that is 20. And therefore the median amount spent corresponds to the amount spent by the 20th student. And to find the amount spent, we simply come across on the graph and come down. And this is it. The amount spent by the 20th student in the group is obtained by coming across on the graph and reading down. And this is it. That value is approximately 32. And so the median amount spent is approximately $32. And so we can write that. The median amount spent, Q2, is approximately $32. Now, the second part of question 7C is asking us to find the probability that a student selected at random spent less than $23. Remember now that this cumulative frequency graph is showing how many students spent less than a certain amount. And so if we want to find the probability of randomly selecting a student who spent less than $23, we need to find the number of students who spent less than $23 and then divide that by the total number of students in the survey. And so to find the number of students who spent less than $23 from the graph, we need to locate $23 on the horizontal axis here. And this is it. And so to find the number of students now who spend less than $23, we have to project up on the graph and come across to find that number of students. And that's it. Across here. So here corresponds to the number of students who spend less than $23. And when we read from the graph, that number is approximately 13. And so approximately 13 students spent less than $23. All the students down here spent less than $23. And so approximately 13 students. If the bottom 13 students in the survey spending the smallest amount, less than $23, and so 13 out of the 40 students spend less than $23, and so the probability of selecting one of those 13 students from the 40 students in the survey is given by 13 divided by 40, and so that's the answer. The probability of finding a student who spent less than $23 is 13 divided by 40, because 13 students spent less than $23. Probability is 13 divided by 40. And that's the answer for question 7, and we'll do question 8, our next question, in the next video. See you then.
You have just seen the video solution for a special CXC question, but this is only one of the many different ways that these questions are written. All mathematical principles can only be fully understood by solving many questions, and so I always tell my students, more maths equals better maths, and if they study hard, they will pass easily. All the various types of CXC questions are covered in the Easy Way Mathematics Solution book, and you need to practice every single one of them. Other books in the series are the Easy Way Multiple Choice Specimen book, the Easy Way Unit 1 CAPE Mathematics Solution book, and the Easy Way Account Solution book. Please feel free to contact me with your comments and queries at any time.